Hi, welcome to the podcast. I don't know if you guys know, but I have a 2-year-old son, and I spoke to him yesterday, and he told me that he thinks Manchester United are the smallest club in England, and that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is an inferior manager to Mikel Arteta, and we had a very good conversation, but obviously we didn't get the best of him yesterday, and I'm upset about that. What do you guys make of the game?
Well,
do you think we deserve the win?
I mean, am I correct in the stat that Arteta has not conceded against Ole yet? In the past 4 games, is it 4 or 3 games that he's played?
I don't think we have, actually, now that you said that. 1-0 last game, 0-0 this game. The game before that, I think we beat him 2-0.
So yeah, he hasn't.
Last season.
You have not conceded.
Yeah.
Against a team that really, really does score a lot of goals.
Yeah, you do. But the thing is that I don't think people have noticed, but sneakily we have gone from having one of the worst defenses, like maybe 2-3 seasons ago, to having the second best defense in the league. Under Arteta, it's crazy. We haven't conceded, I don't think, in a game more than like 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah,
I don't think we've conceded 3 goals in a game.
Other than the Villa game. The Villa game's the one where I think that was some terrible defending. But it also almost more comes down to the fact that some of your defensive personnel are terrible. But like the actual the thing more than anything that you can't deny that Arteta has done really well at Arsenal is he has sorted out the defence. He's done a really good job with that.
100%. And it makes me think more about the David Luiz signing now, because like he was so good yesterday. Honestly, he was quality.
Yeah.
His like defensive work, his attacking work was great. He deflected Bruno Fernandes' free kick and he celebrated like it was a goal, and
that was quite funny.
It was but it was such a good deflection. Like the way he headed it away, it was just it's perfect. Honestly, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean,
Rob Holding was just as good. I really like the fact that he's starting to get better now. He had this kind of form before he got injured, but he didn't have it for very long before he did his ACL. And I hope that it continues. And Gabriel's gonna have a hard time getting in.
Yeah, I mean, David Luiz, people clown on him a lot and say he's not that good. But he has been to PSG, he's been at Chelsea, won the Champions League. I mean, on his day, he is a world-class centre-back, without a doubt.
100%.
But he does have his off days.
Maybe it's not over for him. He does. But you can't deny that his experience is telling, and I don't think it's over for him yet. And this is the kind of games we need someone like David Luiz. Big games, he loves those games, and he's performed and shown that he deserves to play in those big games.
Yeah, other than that, it was a pretty boring game, 0-0.
Disappointing. I'm so disappointed in the attack on both sides. Rashford should have scored multiple times. Cavani should have scored multiple times. We should have scored a fair few times. Willian had the ball and he just let us down. This wasn't his worst performance, I won't lie. Some people were really quick to hate on him. But I don't think this was his worst performance. He had a shot that he should have really got. Maybe not scored it, but should have done better with it, really.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than just getting deflected.
I mean, that the chance that he had inside the box that was, I'd say 8 yards out, and he just couldn't get it out of his feet. Yeah. It kind of just summed up his season with Arsenal, really. He can't get it going, really. And I'm sure if he was at Chelsea there, when he was in form, that would have been going top corner. Without a doubt.
I think anyone else, if it was anyone else that would have been confident, would have gone in. If Aubameyang had it, even if Saka had it, I think would have gone in. But, what can you do? He missed. Lacazette was inches off scoring. If he was like an inch lower, would have been a goal with that free kick. I didn't even know Lacazette could take free kicks like that, to be honest, but it was good. And, it's 0-0. I think we deserve the win more. We needed the win more than United did, because United aren't going to win the league, let's be honest. Like, you guys suck. But we are kind of fighting for top 6, maybe top 4. It's not out of our grasp, really, although some people want to say it is.
I mean, it's not out of grasp,
Chelsea at this point, but
it's not out of almost anyone's grasp, to be honest. Like, at this point, like, you still got Everton, Villa, Southampton, flipping West Ham now in there. Like, anyone could finish top 4 still. So I don't see why Arsenal couldn't. If they, you're starting to show a lot of improvement from where you were a month or 2 ago. So, the chance is still there.
Yeah, but
we've got anything else to go for now.
I mean, the team that doesn't have a chance is Wolves. Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah, I mean,
what's that?
Never
12
really
games, one win.
Never really harbour dreams of European football this season, but
no chance.
It's going badly. And even Crystal Palace was like the one team we could beat. The last two we played them twice already before this game, and they were genuinely pathetic against us. They were awful, and we just walked all over them. And then we just let them beat us almost. Like the first few times we played against them, we played a back four, and we did great. We dominated possession, we created chances, and we won the games. And this time we went with a back five, and they dominated us, and they created the chances, and they should have won by more. I mean, how Michy Batshuayi missed his chance and skied it completely over the bar from about 3 or 4 yards out.
It's dreadful. He did it for Chelsea. Somehow I think it was Europa League last year, took us through to the knockout or something. And he hit the crossbar. But he did the same type of shot, hit underneath it, and it was going sky high, and it somehow luckily hit the crossbar and went in. But he didn't mean it.
Yeah.
But he just, I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's a very good striker at all, personally. But
no, but I mean, at the very least, I think we've got a pretty good striker. That's one positive that I can take from this game is that Willian Jose played pretty well. His hold of play looks good. It's really good to have an actual physical presence up top. He's not Raul Jimenez, but he definitely offers something different, and we can link up better going forward with him. Podence and Neto looked all right playing off him, but we just didn't create enough chances. He got 2 big chances, and he did pretty well with both of them. He forced really good saves from the keeper. And that was it. Like, if we just put a bit more impetus into going forward, just put a few more crosses into the box, like he definitely could have been on the end of a few more opportunities, because his positioning's really good. He's clearly intelligent player. His movement's good in the box. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of improvement that could be made. But it needs to be made fast, because we're going down the table very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, one improvement that he could use is making sure he's passing to the right player. He's wearing an orange t-shirt. Make sure you pass to the other orange t-shirt. Because that was, it was a strange one, because it didn't even look like a mishit pass. It genuinely looked like he was trying to pass to the Crystal Palace player.
Yeah, that was weird. It was a weird one. Oh, well.
But it was one mistake, and it wasn't even just his finishing inside the box. From what I saw, he was doing flicks onto people.
Yeah. There was one point where he dominated in the box, and it almost fell to, I think it was Neto. So yeah, that was pretty cheeky. That was.
But yeah, he definitely looks like a Giroud-styled player.
Yeah.
With the stuff that he does, so it'd be interesting to see.
Target man.
Yeah,
classic
exactly.
Target man. Wolves just play Brexit ball without any Brexit players, really. That's what it reminds me of, really. You got the target man, they've got the wing player with Adama, bulky, strong, pacey, but like none of them speak English. That's Wolves.
The thing is,
but yeah, I mean, it's an alright performance.
The thing is, it's like our first 2 seasons in the Prem, we always played defensive football, but it certainly wasn't this defensive. Even if it was a 5 at the back, we did have a lot of emphasis going forward. We were actually in a fair few games quite enjoyable to watch, which is not something we've been able to say this season. And I don't know. I mean, obviously Nuno at this point is kind of running out of time to turn this around, because you can say all you want, it's his first bad run of form, really, which it is, but it's going on longer and longer and longer, and there doesn't seem to be any real improvement.
Yeah.
So,
well, the worrying thing is, at the end of the day, I know you signed him in the Championship, but he should never really be in the relegation zone. And these next 2 games for you are top 6 clubs, and if you lose those 2 games and the 3 teams below you win those 2 games, you're actually in the relegation zone at that point, which is not what you want to see.
That's a sticky one.
Maybe
Oh, my days.
maybe the look of me when I said Arsenal were going for relegation and they suddenly started playing well. I might have just jinxed it for you, so you do well again.
You are the jinx, Sharon.
I'll give it my magic words. They're getting relegated.
Cheers,
and they'll
dude.
stay
I
off.
appreciate that. But,
Let's talk about the big game today, though. Did you have something else to say?
No,
I didn't know if you did, but we watched the Chelsea game.
Yes.
It's good. I mean, Tuchel's performance now is starting to look good as a manager, and you start to understand why they signed someone like him. His tactical knowledge, because he doesn't. I've never seen him play this formation before, and yet he's done it with Chelsea, and they seem to be working really well. Hudson-Odoi. I don't feel like Hudson-Odoi and Marcus Alonso were really wing backs. I feel like they were more wide midfielders.
Yeah.
You've played 2 games so far, and they've been against Wolves and Burnley. You played like the 2 of the deepest block teams in the league.
Yeah.
So like your wing backs can essentially just play as wingers, and that's what Hudson-Odoi and Alonso did. And to be honest, like that's where you want them to be. You don't play Alonso and Hudson-Odoi a wing back for their defensive ability. So. In games like this, it works, and it worked today. And you can see his tactical style already starting to come through a bit faster than I anticipated, actually, because it's quite a demanding tactic. But
Yes.
he seems to have got them kind of going pretty well, all thinking along the same lines as him already. And it's kind of it's been a feature of his managerial style all through his career that he's very pragmatic, and he often changes formations game by game depending on the opposition. Like you have some managers like Nuno or like Pep or like Klopp who play the same style and they play the same formation, and they're very well known for being constantly doing that same thing.
Yeah.
And then you have like Tuchel and someone like Ancelotti as well, maybe, who are very much more willing to constantly shift things around and game by game, depending on the teams they're coming up against and their tactics, and just playing players who suit any particular game.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, Lampard did that last season. We saw him play a 5 at the back. We saw him play a 4-2-3-1. We also saw him play a 4-3-3 last season. But for some reason this season, he decided to stick with 1.
I feel like he did that because he didn't exactly know. He was new to the management game, and to me, it just seems like he didn't know what he was doing yet with the team. Whereas someone like Tuchel, he's been in the game for a lot longer, and I feel like he knew what he was doing a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I reckon he's gone for a 3/5 at the back formation is also to build up morale. I mean, we were conceding goals and stupid goals. He's just played 5 at the back or 3 at the back. And we've kept 2 clean sheets, which is always going to help out. Also, Tuchel's philosophy is if the defenders do their job, it's a base for the attackers to go and express themselves and do what they want. So I think there's a lot to this 3 at the back, 5 at the back formation. I don't think it'll be something that he does all the time. Because, I mean, Burnley in the first half were playing balls like diagonals in behind our wing backs, which were causing us some problems. Which top team will destroy us. They noticed that.
Yeah.
I mean, one player that I'm not going to say sorry yet, but Jorginho. I've given him a lot of.
It was good.
I've given him a lot of stick because he normally passes the ball backwards or sideways. This time today he looked at playing balls over the top. Quick 1-2s. He was looking to go forwards. But the only thing is he also did that at the start of Lampard's career. So if he can keep it up for the whole of the season, fair enough.
Why? The question is why did he stop doing it under Lampard? Did Lampard tell him to stop and play more defensively, or
there could be that. There's many. I mean, it might be he was losing confidence in some of his passing, so he slowed it down. I don't know. But if he can keep it up like this, I'd love him to stay in the club because he was pinging balls everywhere.
Yeah. And that was an issue that seemed to be highlighted after Lampard was sacked, was that, he wasn't really, he was a bit distant from the players, he wasn't really connecting with them. And so as a result, if a player's low on confidence, like, say, Jorginho, if he was, and then Werner and Havertz, he wasn't really connecting with them on that level to help boost their confidence.
Yeah.
So maybe for one thing that is something that Tuchel will do better. And Jorginho, we know he is a good passer. He's a very good passer. We've seen him play plenty of good passes. So if he can do that more often rather than just passing sideways and backwards, like at the end of the day, that seems like either it's a confidence thing or it's a tactical thing. So if the manager just says to him, look, Jorginho, you're a brilliant passer and I want you to pass it forward and pick out these great passes, then do it. And he can do it. So he's going to perform better.
The confidence from him was, I think at one point in the second half, he took it on his knee and played a half volley across the field to Alonso, which you never see from. Jorginho controls it, it's down, everyone's back in front, and then he plays the pass sideways normally. Whereas he was going all guns blazing. But I think the whole team, the pass from Thiago Silva back to the keeper I didn't see it coming. He headed it backwards, which you don't tend to see from a centre back. But just everything, the composure from the team, it was all there. Azpilicueta, his 70-yard run, sprint, not a run. The dedication to get there, it was just all there. Apart from our attackers scoring, really. So
the attackers didn't score in that game. Actually, it was quite funny because Azpilicueta obviously scored, and Alonso scored for the first time in ages. In fact, that was his first start in 4 months, 5 months. He started in the Albion game.
Yeah.
So, for him to sort of prove the doubters wrong and to come back, the guy's only 30. He's only just turned 30 as well. He's still got years left in him. You could probably get another contract out of him if you wanted to. And he's clearly showing that, he's not finished yet as a footballer. He did good. It was a great goal that he scored. The control to sort of like get on your chest and your knee and then just volley it in, like off the crossbar, I think it was as well. It's just, quality finish at that angle.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's something we've always known Marcos Alonso's got in his locker at the end of the day. He is a great finisher. And he's one of the best purely for attacking abilities. He's actually one of the best wing-backs in the league from that standpoint. It's just his defensive frailties are such that he's often in games he is a liability. But if he's still going to be useful if you're playing against a team like Burnley, who are just going to sit back and allow you to have pressure, and then he's going to, not suffer so much for his defensive frailties, and he can just kind of let loose.
Yeah,
and you see a much better side of him.
And on the other side as well, Hudson-Odoi was honestly I know you talk him up a lot, and I always usually like put you down, but he was good, and it was quite. I feel like the Burnley defenders were scared whenever he came down that right hand side because they came back so far. And I remember I heard a quote of Daesh telling Dortmund to switch on, and the left back was like, "What do you want me to do? I can't do anything. I can't stop him. he's just that quick." So he's good.
He's a player that people started to doubt after his injury because he had a really, really bad Achilles injury. And when he came back from that, and I think he came back a bit too soon when Lampard tried to shoehorn him into the team, he almost every time he could run at a player, he didn't. He looked back and passed it, and we just didn't want to run at anyone. Whereas Hudson-Odoi's always been known to just run at people, and defenders don't like it. Pulisic does it as well. They don't like it. And he's back to doing it, and he's looking great doing it. His desire to win the ball back, even if it's in our own half, is really good. Against Wolves, he ran how far back to stop Dendoncker from scoring. But he's looking like a top class player, and you're really starting to see why Bayern wanted to spend 70 mil on him.
Yeah, and I think it's good for Werner's confidence because his confidence might be extremely shot at this point. He had a difficult miss to see today, where he hit the board with his own foot, and when you see other people scoring, it takes pressure off of you, which I think there was a bit of when you were losing games and you weren't scoring enough goals.
Yeah.
But now that you are, Werner can sort of relax now, I think, and just focus on finishing and then he can start being the star man. But for now, he doesn't have to be, because you've got people who are quality all over the pitch that are scoring. And although it wasn't any of the attackers today, it could be Hudson-Odoi, it could be Havertz, it could be Pulisic next week.
Yeah.
And Werner doesn't have to worry now.
Yeah, there's definitely less pressure on him at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, as you said, the last few months, Chelsea's results have been getting worse and worse, and it becomes more and more on the striker to try and get him out of that.
Yeah.
So when you're actually playing well and there's people around you who are playing well and scoring goals, and you're not necessarily the guy that everyone has to rely on, then you can slowly just calm down, relax, bring yourself back up to your level, and then you might see Werner actually be the striker that he is.
Yeah, I mean, there was one worrying thing that I saw with Tuchel, was the fact that he subbed off our best players, 2 of them, which was a bit, are you trying to make us lose this game?
No, I think he's experimenting because it's Burnley and you already 1-0 up at that point. So
yeah.
And he didn't really see Burnley as a threat going forward. And I can understand why he made it, because he's still trying to figure out his team. He's only played 2 games with them, and he's had a week's worth of training sessions, really. So
yeah.
I can understand why he's done it, but maybe it's a bit early.
Yeah, I think you got to think about fitness as well. Always got to make sure that you're keeping your best players fit. And if you're in a comfortable position in the game, then maybe it's best to bring them off to keep them fresh for the next game where they're going to be crucial again.
Yeah, but just one more player that really is giving Tuchel a headache already is Mason Mount. He's already stated, I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm starting in your starting 11. Deal with it, type thing.
The thing is, I feel like there was a lot of worry, wasn't there, about the likes of Mason Mount and Reece James and Callum Hudson-Odoi, that they were going to struggle to get back into the team, because that was kind of Frank Lampard's thing, that he was bringing through these Chelsea Academy youngsters. But I think, to be honest, particularly with Mason Mount, at this point he's not a youngster. I mean, he's like 22, isn't he now? So
yeah.
But also he's not like a project anymore. He is an established first team player and a high quality Premier League player. And it's not just like Tuchel's going to drop him because he's young. He's a very good player, and Tuchel can't drop him. So
yeah.
I don't think that was actually too much to worry about. Obviously, Reece James didn't start either of his first 2 games, but I there's full confidence that when, obviously, like I said, you're against Burnley and Wolves, who were very defensive sides, so he can experiment with someone like Hudson-Odoi at wing back. When you're up against a more dangerous team, I would fully expect to see Reece James back at right back.
Yeah, I mean, Reece, I think, needs a couple of games off and being brought on. He had his injury. He came back under his Lampard and didn't play very well at all. He didn't look amazing. I mean, he had a couple of good chances going forwards today, but going backwards, he didn't look great. He lost the ball a couple of times, which I think is just confidence. He hasn't played in a while. I'm sure he'll get back up to form.
Yeah.
But I'm not a manager, but I think the best way to do that is to sub them on and slowly bring them on, build their confidence up, and see what happens there. But I think the next game against Spurs on Thursday will be a test to see what formation we go with, because it might be we go with that 3 at the back still, that's working, or we go to a 4 at the back, which is what Tuchel's mainly known for using. So we'll see what happens there.
I would say you probably go into that Tottenham game as slight favourites. Tottenham, obviously, at the moment, for it looks like only a couple of weeks. Kane is out, so Kane's not going to be fit to play. That's a massive attacking threat. Still got Son, of course, but we've pretty much seen nothing of Carlos Vinicius in the Premier League, so we have no idea how he's going to play. Presumably, he's going to be the one that fills in. Really no idea how well he's going to play for them. But obviously there's still massive threats from Son, and Bergwijn's been in some alright form recently.
Right, so we're back. Jacob's had to go for reasons. So we'll carry on talk. Well, in fact, should we start with some transfer news?
Let's get over to that. And I think there's been some really big revelations in the last couple days as we're recording this about Lionel Messi. Now, his contract details got leaked to Spanish newspaper El Mundo in the last couple of days, and it's reported that he's earning as much in his 5-year contract. He's earning as much as 555 million. That is completely insane, particularly considering Barcelona's financial situation. That they're paying him so much, and now it's been said that Messi is absolutely furious that this contract leak has happened. As I don't blame him, and that he could potentially announce his decision to leave Barcelona in the next week, maybe even by the time this podcast has been released. I mean, that'd be insane. I don't know whether it will actually happen or not, but if it does, that is absolutely huge. And a terrible, terrible time for it to happen for Barcelona as well, because they're actually starting to get into some much better form. Other than they lost to Athletic Bilbao in the Cup a couple of weeks ago. But in the league, their form has improved. They've won quite a few games in a row. Messi's in some great form. I think he's equal top scorer in the league now, again, after a slightly inconsistent start, and he's the top assister as well. And Griezmann's actually playing well. Frankie de Jong's playing well. Ousmane Dembele's playing well. So they're in good form, and this is pretty much this. If this destabilizes everything once again, like, they could really struggle.
Yeah, I mean, this season really was a season Barcelona had to try their hardest to keep him, and potentially try and sign a new contract. I think it was very low that he would, but there was potential that he could if he enjoyed it again.
Yeah.
But if this comes out and he says he wants to leave, they've lost a lot of money. In terms of how much they could sell him for. I mean, obviously gaining money on how much his contract is worth, as we've seen. But surely you've got to be looking at 200 mil, how much Messi would go for.
But also, like, the amount of money he brings into the club, revenue-wise, it's insane. The only person in the world who could match up to that would be Ronaldo at Juventus. And Juventus aren't in a horrific financial situation. So the debate is, like, do you keep Messi and pay him all this money so you can bring in revenue, or do you let him go and you have all this all this extra money that could, be crucial to their finances? Because, I mean, right now, finances, they look horrible. I mean, 1.1 billion euros in debt, apparently.
That's mental.
I mean, if they don't sort something out, I mean, they've got presidential elections coming up in March, I think, or May, maybe. If they don't sort something out financially soon, this could be the end of Barcelona Football Club as we know it. If you look at some of the payments they're behind on, apparently they still owe Liverpool about 26 million for Coutinho. They still apparently owe Ajax about half of the Frankie de Jong transfer fee. So they've been renovating the Camp Nou. There are plans to. They've taken out loans for that, and a lot of it has to be paid back soon. So you can't see a way that it gets better.
Yeah, it's quite scary because, I mean, Barcelona are one of the biggest clubs. Their history, you've got the typical Barcelona style of play. Yeah. And for that to just go, almost like a Newcastle type thing. They lost everything, big club, all down the drain. I mean, 10 years time, we see Barcelona struggling at the bottom of the league would just be scary, really. Yeah, I mean, if Barcelona went under, I mean, I can't think of anything in football history like that momentous, a club that big going down. I mean, they're arguably the most influential football club in the history of the game. Like, look at all the like you said, the Barcelona style. Basically, Barcelona basically invented the dominant style of football that has defined the last decade of football. So, and players like Johan Cruyff, obviously Messi, Ronaldinho, all these iconic players in the red and blue, and it was the place to go.
Imagine if they didn't exist. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine it. So
but one thing would be interesting is obviously Man City would be the ones that would want to go in for him. We presume, as they were last time. But Man City are also wanting to be in the race for Haaland. Could they afford both players? And which player do you go for? Do you go for someone that is top class, but don't know how many years he's got left? Or do you go for a young player that is showing that he's one of the best strikers in the world at the minute and could potentially get better? What do you go with there at that point? And Haaland would be cheaper in terms of contracts. So it'd be a difficult one for Man City, I think.
Yeah, like you said, I don't see him getting both financially. Even the richest clubs in the world right now, they can't spend that much, and Haaland and Messi it'd be insane, but I think very unrealistic to hope for both of them. The other club that Messi could head to is PSG, who kind of after Man City looked like the place he was going to be heading to in the summer, PSG have kind of emerged as almost ahead of them more recently. And obviously, Neymar has spoken many times in the past about wanting to play with Messi again. PSG, they've got the money, obviously, although French clubs at the moment are losing quite a bit of money, but that won't affect PSG as much. But it's so difficult. Like this, from Messi's perspective, this is like the worst time for this to happen. Like the worst time for him to want to leave.
Yeah, Euros coming
if this
up.
happened, and well, he's Argentinian.
Oh wait, no, ignore what I just said. Nah, skip that.
I'm leaving that in. I'm not cutting that. But yeah, if this happened 2-3 years ago, like there'd be clubs lining up for him. PSG could have gone for him comfortably. Man United could have gone for him. Man City could have gone for him. Chelsea maybe. And now it's like there's very few options for him across Europe right now. But I'm sure someone will find a way, some public cash for him because he's an incredible player.
Yeah, but talking on the Haaland thing, big news coming in from Chelsea. That they're going to almost jump the queue and spend around, I think it's around 90 to 100 mil on him this summer because his release clause doesn't start until the following summer.
Yeah.
So Chelsea are willing to pay that extra bit of money to try and get him in and beat everyone to him, which could be quite interesting. We know Giroud is going to be leaving, so we've got room for another striker.
Yeah.
Do we play Werner and Haaland up together? So it'd be interesting to see if he comes. Obviously, we've now not got that pulling power of Lampard and him wanting to be under Lampard.
But if
we've still got Tuchel.
Yeah, I mean Lampard's pulling power is he's a legendary footballer. Whereas if a player's thinking like I want to be under one of the best managers in the world, then that's arguably more of a pull towards Tuchel because he is a top manager. So. I mean, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? Because, like you said, you got a lot of strikers, and you'd have 3 strikers who are all good enough to start and want to be starting. And you'd have to say, if Haaland joined, that would surely be the end of Tammy Abraham at Chelsea. I mean, I can't imagine him wanting to stay when it's so obvious that they don't see him as a starter.
Well, I think that's the new thing. Tammy Abraham's contracts, I think, is running out. Oh no, he's not extending his contract at the minute. He's been asked to, and he's not doing it so far. He could be waiting to see if they're going for Haaland, because if they're going for Haaland, there's not really point staying, which is upsetting because I think Tammy's been crucial over the last 2 years for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he might score tap-ins and easy goals, but a goal's a goal, and that's what you need.
You've got to be there to score at the end of the day. It's all about that intelligence, that mindset. And he's good enough to score 20 goals in a Premier League season. And if he's not going to do that at Chelsea, he's going to go to another good club and he's going to score 20 goals there. I mean, you look at some of the options that could be available to him. Let's say, Vardy's 34, Tammy Abraham at Leicester. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
score a lot of goals there.
And the thing is with Tammy, he's not just a target man. He can run in behind. He has got the speed. is a bit of a freak of. He doesn't play the way he should, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The way he plays, he should be the height of Timo Werner.
Kind of similar actually to Haaland. Because Haaland's big guy, but not really a target man.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. It'd be upsetting to see one of our academy players go. But it's a possibility. And does Haaland improve our squad compared to Tammy Abraham? Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So if they can get him and jump the gun and spend an extra, say, 10, 20 mil, I definitely think it's worth it. And then another player that could be, I mean, there's lists, so I'll just read them all out. I mean, Marquinhos could join.
I mean, that's one from Tuchel at PSG, isn't it? Like, whether it's...
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised either way if it's genuinely Tuchel looking to bring him in, because Marquinhos played the best football of his career under Tuchel. Often actually deploys as a CDM instead of a centre-back, and he was class there, as well as obviously being a top-class centre-back. Or it could be, newspapers saying, he's a really good player who used to play for Tuchel. We could link him to Chelsea. So, either way. But it would be a good signing, I think, Marquinhos.
Yeah, Alaba as well. There's talks that that's been talked for ages.
Yeah.
Alaba potentially joining. But I don't think we'll see him join personally.
No, it looks like he's heading to Real Madrid.
Yeah, so the only thing is I think Real Madrid are struggling with financial stuff at the minute.
Yeah, they are. I've got a couple of numbers actually up here for Real Madrid, because Barcelona's situation has kind of overshadowed them. But Real Madrid are looking to renovate their stadium pretty heavily, and have taken out a massive loan of around 550 million euros loan to look to rebuild their stadium, and that's put them right now about 900 million in debt. So still, it's not quite Barcelona levels, but it's a massive amount.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is interesting, because there's been so many links with them to Mbappe in the summer. Like, it looked for a while like they were dead set to go for Mbappe, and he was probably going to move there. But if they're that much in debt, like, how do they go and spend that money on Mbappe? It's like, you can't. It's impossible.
So
Real Madrid, they definitely may well go and pick up Alaba, though, because obviously it's on a free transfer. Big wages, but definitely he can play centre-back, he can play left-back, he can play anywhere in the midfield, top-quality player. But it could lead to somebody else leaving them on a free, and that is Sergio Ramos, who obviously one of their greatest ever players, has been linked with joining Manchester United recently and PSG on a free transfer. His contract expires in the summer. He's yet to sign an extension. Real Madrid obviously are desperate to sign him to an extension, but I think he is waiting to see what happens with Alaba, because Alaba surely would be a starter, and either he takes Ramos or Varane's place at centre-back, or he takes the place of Ferland Mendy or Marcelo at left-back. So either way, it's a top-quality player is dropping out of the team, and I can understand that Ramos, is a bit wary that it would be him, even though he's been arguably the most important player yet again this season.
Yeah. But another person that, if those players come into Chelsea, that could potentially leave is N'Golo Kante, that has already stated that he is not not confident. He's not happy at the club at the minute with the amount of managers that keep on coming in.
Yeah.
And I think that's Tuchel's first job, really, is to try and win N'Golo Kante back. I personally think this season in the summer is the year for him to be sold.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't get sold, it's looking like he'll probably go on a free somewhere. He's getting injured more and more now. He's not looking when he plays, he looks his best. But I think it's time to try and cash in almost. And bring in a youngster, which could potentially be Billy Gilmore. That is also rumoured to be going out on loan.
Yeah, I saw a few of them.
Which
I saw Wolf linked to it, actually.
I'd be pretty upset if he went out on loan. I think he's definitely capable of first team football at Chelsea. But if Tuchel keeps on playing this this Jorginho Kovacic, which seems to be working. There is no room for Gilmour, and he does need to go out on loan to get football. He also wants to play in the Euros for Scotland, and he's once again capable of doing that. So that could spell him moving out, but hopefully it's only on a loan, and hopefully we won't do what we did with Tomori and put a buy clause in it, because I think we'd potentially lose him.
That wouldn't make much sense. It'd actually be interesting if you could ask Tuchel what he would have done with Tomori. Like, would he have agreed to that 30 million option to buy? Like, you'd imagine no, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And Tomori's a kind of player that I would imagine Tuchel would like. He's a very mobile centre-back, very fast, and of course he's got loads of potential. So, I don't imagine that Tuchel would be particularly keen to just allow Gilmour to leave permanently like that.
Yeah, he fits that style, Gilmour, that Tuchel likes.
Does.
Quick, sharp, wins the ball back. He's been described as the Scottish Iniesta. People have also said he plays very similar to Verratti.
Yeah, Verratti was class under Tuchel at PSG, so if he can reach those levels.
He's definitely, he always wants to play the ball forwards as well. He's got the vision of what Jorginho has, and Gilmour tends to just play it straight away. He likes to play quickly, get it up the pitch. So if we can hold on to him, and potentially if we don't play him, put him out on loan, get some good game time. I think that'd be great for us.
It would.
But
go
on the topic of Jorginho, he's been given a 2-year contract extension. Which I wasn't happy about at first, because I'm not a fan of Jorginho at all. I can't stand him personally. He plays too slowly. He doesn't do what we want him to do. But if he carries on the way he did today, plays it quick, plays those passes in behind, I think he'd be a great asset to the club. He knows the team well already. He knows what our players want to do when they're running. And as long as he can keep his head up and play that pass straight away, I think it'd be fantastic for us to keep him for another 2 years.
I think now let's move on to someone else who may or may not be staying for another couple of years. And it's a topic that we haven't mentioned in a while. We've basically we're in the Formula One off season at the moment, so nothing much to talk about. But there is the Lewis Hamilton contract situation, and there's been some Toto Wolff's given some interviews in the last week or two, because he's actually been suffering from COVID, and apparently that's one of the reasons why things may have stalled, is because they haven't been able to actually sit down face to face and talk for quite a few weeks now. So that's held things up. But Wolff, he's recovered now, which is great to see. And he told a German TV network that Hamilton will not be given a 3-year contract, which is apparently what he wanted. And instead it's going to be what he described as a flexible term. And I'm not entirely sure what that means, but does it mean like they can terminate it pretty much whenever they want? Or he can terminate it whenever he wants? So he's basically left that for the most part just open-ended, not really sure what's going on there. And he made some interesting comments about the team keeping its eyes open and the landscape of Formula One changing, obviously with new regulations coming in this season and particularly next season. And there's been some changes in Mercedes management, obviously budget cuts, pretty heavy budget cuts coming through. So it looks like he he wants to keep Hamilton, obviously, but they're preparing for the fact that he may not sign, and if he does sign, it'll probably be his last contract with Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always said that he'd race this next season, and if he wins it, he'll retire. In which the likelihood is he does tend to win it. Let's be pretty honest. It's not like last season he was being chased by anyone. He was miles ahead anyway. So I don't think that will change. And I was of the opinion that he'll try and beat Schumacher's record, and that'll be it. He doesn't really need to race for anything else, really. The sport is a very dangerous sport. You don't need to be there for longer than what you need to be, really. Similar to boxing, boxers go in, earn their money, and get out.
Yeah, before they do too much damage to themselves, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always thought he'd leave. And Lewis Hamilton, he can be very, very persuaded by money. And he does revolve around money, which most people do.
Yeah.
But that's typically what he's been through. But I think it'd be sad to see him go without a final season.
Absolutely.
Have a send-off type thing, his final race.
Yeah, like if it was suddenly announced that he was retiring, like in the middle of the off season, and doesn't even get to do like donuts in Abu Dhabi or something, like that would be a real kind of sad way to end it, to end such an incredible career.
Yeah, it's just very strange. But I think the thing that's forced Mercedes' hand or Lewis Hamilton's hand is the fact that George Russell sat in the same car and pretty much dominated the race like Lewis Hamilton did.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he had two major issues with the pit stop, which wasn't his fault, and the puncture, which once again wasn't his fault because it was new tyres. Which
but it's pretty clear. Pretty clear he was the fastest man on that track, and he would have won the race if that hadn't happened pretty comfortably.
So if you've got someone that's lined up cheaper and can do the same thing, why pay a ridiculous amount?
It's a big important thing for Mercedes to have in their pocket, that they can say to Hamilton, well, listen, we don't actually need you anymore, so we don't have to pay you as much as you want. So it may well, if a contract does happen, it may well be Hamilton who has to reduce his expectations a bit. I definitely hope he does, because I want to see him at least one more time in the Mercedes car, and I want to see him break Schumacher's record. Yeah. So here's hoping that Hamilton is able to sort out the contract situation. Yeah, it's a strange one. I'm trying to see if I can find the exact terms he's asking for. I know it was, I think 30% of 30 or 20% of the winnings that they got. The other one was he wanted one of the new AMG Mercedes cars. What was his? Let me see. I think I can't remember the exact number. I want to say 15 mil potentially contract. Right. And then the last thing was he wanted to have a part in the garage and be closer towards the actual team. I'm quite happy I remembered that. But I think two of those is fair enough. I think the garage one, sure, that's fair enough. That's not difficult to do. I mean, the car, I know it's worth a lot of money, but it's not really that big on Mercedes. Really, they're making the car. I think the pay increase is a very, very high pay increase. But he's the best Formula One driver likely to have ever lived. So he's got the pulling power. If the one that can demand that much, it's him.
Yeah, but the one thing that I don't quite agree with is the percentage of the winnings.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that percentage is meant to be going back into the business to improve things.
Yeah.
And he's essentially taking that for himself.
Yeah. It seems a bit excessive. I think part of the thing is, I mean, he is aware that he's maybe the greatest of all time, and he is able to pretty much demand whatever he wants, but then Mercedes can hit back and say, well, we don't necessarily need you anymore. So it's going to go back and forth. Definitely seems like a bit excessive on Hamilton's part, and he will probably have to drop those demands a little bit in order to secure that contract. I would expect him to do that. I still expect that in 6 weeks' time, pre-season testing, Hamilton will be out there driving the Mercedes. What contract term that's on, we don't know. But I think it's going to happen. I definitely hope it happens.
Yeah. The thing that confused me a lot was the fact that in interviews when he was racing last season, he was saying, "Oh, this is only the start. I'm still wanting to go and race."
Exactly.
He seemed really enthusiastic about it, and all of a sudden he's kind of demanding these. And if he goes, "Well, if you don't give me this money, I'm not doing it," that kind of takes away the whole, "Oh, I've only just begun." Like if you're really, really passionate and you've only just begun, you'd almost take anything really, to stay in that seat. Understandably, you've got to earn money and put food on the table, but I don't think he has to worry about that. He's got enough money to do that on his current contract.
The rest of his life probably doesn't have to worry about that.
But it's pay increase, fair enough. He's just equal to Schumacher's record, fair enough. But don't be too greedy. Just kind of, if you want another race, try and beat his record, go for it. Don't make it about all the money. Make it about you wanting to race type thing. But an interesting story. And it's carry on going. It's been going on for how many months now? And I don't think it'll stop soon.
It's weird. It is weird that no one would have expected to see the confirmed lineups table 6 weeks before the start of the testing, and the one name not filled in is the other Mercedes, and it's not even Bottas, it's Hamilton. So it's kind of 5 months ago you certainly would not have expected this to happen, but I think it'll happen. I think they'll sort it out in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see him in a Mercedes car again. When they release the livery in, I think it'll probably be kind of mid-February. That's kind of when everybody does it. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they're seeing. It'd be nice to see. I can't wait to see Ricciardo and Lando Norris together, because we haven't really seen much of that yet. So it'd be great to see. And oh my days, I've forgotten his name. Oh, the McLaren driver.
Sainz.
Yeah, Sainz in a Ferrari.
Yeah,
nice to see that. So it's looking like an interesting season. Can't wait for that.
The one thing I think that could potentially make it more competitive as a whole is that certainly the big teams, Mercedes, particularly Red Bull and Ferrari, they're looking towards 2022 with their car development. They're looking towards the big new regulation changes, and that's what their main focus is going to be on. And I wonder if your McLarens and your Aston Martins and your Renaults, or Alpine now, are going to be looking at this season as maybe an opportunity to, if they focus more on the development of this car, they've got more of an opportunity to usurp one of them, maybe even second in. I mean, even if Mercedes take their foot off the gas a little bit, they're not going to lose the championship. It's going to be Mercedes again, but maybe someone could overtake Red Bull. I mean, their car wasn't that much faster than Racing Point's or McLaren's last season. So,
and I think that was
there's always an option.
I think that's also down to Verstappen and how good of a driver he was. I mean, you saw Albon struggling massively in some races. So if Verstappen for some reason has an off season, it could definitely push people forwards.
And I reckon last season we had an AlphaTauri winning a race, and we had a Racing Point winning a race, which was really cool. I really hope this season we maybe get McLaren winning a race, because that would just be dream come true. McLaren back on the top step of the podium. What a moment. And God, can you imagine if Lando Norris wins a race? I mean, it probably would be Ricciardo. If it was going to be someone, it's going to be Ricciardo, because he's an incredible racer. But Lando Norris, if he can win a race, that'd be amazing.
Definitely. I can't wait until that moment happens, because it's bound to happen at some point in his career. Either that, or if I've just jinxed it and he's never going to win one, which could be quite hilarious as well. But you're going
to turn him into the next flipping Hulkenberg now.
but yeah, I think that's all the talk over F1. It's a bit of a shorter podcast.
We've been missing a member for some of it, but I reckon we've carried it pretty well. Hope you've enjoyed, of course. Remember to look out for more kind of regular uploads when some big news happens. We dropped a video about the Lampard being sacked situation a few days ago, so go and check that out. And whenever any big news happens, we'll probably be doing a little short thing just to break that down. And follow us, Spotify, Obviously, subscribe on YouTube, like and subscribe. iTunes now, we're on iTunes.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much everywhere. We're huge.
Twitter,
global.
TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah, everything. Go follow us on every possible social media in existence. MySpace. We'll set up a MySpace account, and you go follow us on MySpace. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching this slightly troubled podcast. And yeah, see ya.
Cheers. Bye.